Next slide's good, I'm telling you. Okay. Joe instituted new business practices. The executive board met more regularly in person. No phone calls from landlines. And don't ever say his name on the phone. Accruals were tolerated as long as the cash was available for Joe to count personally at the end of the week. By the way, some of you boys from Jersey stopped by last week, but they got the date wrong and they said they couldn't stick around for some reason. People might be looking for them. But they wanted to make sure you had a good time on your night. And I gotta say though, they were not too happy that their union didn't do the work at the Lyric. Has anybody seen John Lester since last week? Now we know how politically connected Joe is. You know, a lot of your political friends, they want to make sure that you knew that they loved you and they wanted to be here tonight. Some of them even sent personal, very touching. Just wait for it. You know, on this one, Joe, I think she thought you were Charlie Chris. But then there's my favorite. This one is so poignant. I could leave that up all night, but no disrespect. Excuse me. So Joe, tonight we honor you, sort of. For all you've done and all the material that you've given us for the first 25 years. And we celebrate you and we look forward to what the next 25 years will bring. Thank you, Joe. Who's that? Who's that? Wait. Susie's already up here.
Oh, she's lovely. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was still supposed to be here.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it was just Joe, so it didn't matter if I was late.
Ladies and gentlemen, the late Susie Hutchison.
Oh my gosh. Y'all went too close.
Okay, we ready to hear from some other folks? Okay, first, Mr. Tony Barletto.
Well, I think Tim did a great job. Thanks, Tim. I hope we all have a great time tonight. So, we'll just all share a few comments. I've been asked to speak like maybe 2 minutes. So I recall that Joe and I both came to town in 1989, just around the same time. Joe came from Palermo, Titusville, I'm sorry. Was it Palermo? It was done. And we instantly became friends, and for those who know my relationship with Joe, it's kind of like dad or big brother, and I love him.
Yeah, way to make friends, Tony.
Yeah. Well, I have the money over there, so I've got nice to be. The whack is going to come up later on, you know? Yeah, well, yes. So it's, I don't even know what stories I can tell you.
Excuse me.
Yes. Yes.
We heard you Thursday.
Yes. Sure, drink up, quick. Enjoy. Give a couple of drinks and finish them. You can't leave it till you finish them. No. So I'll leave with just 1 or 2 stories. I could recall just a few years ago on Joe's, his 50th birthday party? So for those of you who were there, the blow-up doll was there. That was Joe's gift for the, what do we call it, the titty flambe, right? We all know that if you were there. And I have to say that Barb, his lovely wife, gave the greatest line of the night, though. The person that came in to do the little act for Joe, we had a little doll lover type person, came dressed as a Domino's pizza person. Do you remember this, Joe?
Like Domino Pizza ever since.
So the doorbell rings and Barb answers the door, and there's got to be 50 people in the house, and this girl's got a Domino's outfit on, and she has 3 pizzas with her. And Barb turned to Joe and said, "You ordered 3 pizzas for all these people?" Of course, the girl put the pizzas down, and the next thing we know, she was,
Naked.
yeah, naked. I'm pulling that. What else can I tell you? Has anyone in this room ever played golf with Joe? So for those of us who have played golf with Joe, the best way I can describe it to you is he uses and he has the greatest combination of curse words I have ever. I mean, they're like in strings. There's like 5 words in a row, and I say, "What did you just say?" Okay? That's before the golf clubs go flick, right? That's true. You know that, right?
Tony, Craig taught me.
Craig, right? You taught him, Craig?
No!
No, I didn't think so. Okay. What else can I tell you? We all know how patient Joe is. He's extremely patient. Getting to places on time, really doesn't make a difference to Joe whether he's the first or the first one. I know for years we drove to Tallahassee for the legislative conference. It was always Joe, myself, Toots with his bag of fruit, and Ken Ferguson. So we had this one particular year where Joe was responsible for the hospitality room, and we had gone out to dinner. We had a couple of cocktails.
Are you allowed to say stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can say, of course we can. Yeah. So we went back to the hospitality room, and you might remember that Ken enjoyed his cocktails. Ken Ferguson, he liked a couple of drinks. So he told Joe and I that he was going to switch because it was late at night. He'd been drinking bourbon all night on Maker's Mark, and he wanted to switch to wine. But Joe and I are sitting across the room, and we watch Ken over by the, you know what I'm going to say, over by the counter, and he's got the corkscrew, and he's putting it in the wine bottle, and he's putting it through, and it goes right in, and he's trying to pull it out. And Joe and I walked over, and we said, "Ken, it's a screw top on the way." And the other thing that he did when we went to Tallahassee, of course, you all driven with him, he tried to set a land speed record of who could get to Tallahassee the fastest. Can I do 90 or 95 on this one here? Exactly. But with all that said, I'm going to leave it with, you've been a great friend. You've been a big brother to me. You've been a dad to me. You've been a whole lot of things.
Godfather.
He's been a godfather. Thank you, Joe. I'm very proud of you. You've been a godfather to me. I honor you, I respect you, and I love you. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Tony. Isn't this amazing? Our next speaker has arrived, and she'll be able to come up and say a few words about Joe. Susie Hutchison.
This is not going to be as easy as the other two were.
You're here in the picture. The big one.
I'm not used to order around.
Susie, let's go.
Susie Hutchison.
Susie, tell the secret.
Maybe. First of all, I need to know whose doll that is. Because they need some serious help.
It's my wife's.
That's what I was afraid of.
She got it at HBS.
I was even more afraid that that was going to be where she got it. We do a lot of different kinds of instruction. But that's not why we're here tonight now, is it? Okay, now, I started out with the top 10 reasons that we're glad he's retiring. And I feel like he's not retiring. So I thought, what do I do now? I thought, what does it matter? Okay, so with or without numbers, Joe, I want you to know, pretend, before I came to this, what I thought was a retirement party, I was at the Association for Fundraising Professionals National Philanthropy Celebration. You were not win? Not win? No, were you nominated? Maybe next year. Maybe. It will take more than that one check you sent me. Just so you know. When we had our offices at the Chamber, my staff were so afraid of Joe that I constantly told them, we must continue to work with children. Otherwise, that's what they'll grow up to be. We are so glad that the Children's Services Council went through. Years ago, Joe and I spent a lot of time together in the old office. Many times he was yelling at me, and I'll talk about that a little later. Some of the times he was asking me for advice, I'll talk about that a little later too. Years ago, Joe mentioned to me that he was thinking about running for office. I suggested to him that he would have to start being nice to me. I did, didn't I? That was the last I heard of his election so, Joe is a major family man. See, there's nice stuff here. There's nice stuff. He understands that Barbara's in charge, and her word is law. I truly think he enjoys it. And Barb, wherever you are a saint. I was going to say something about the whips and chains and all of that, but I thought that was inappropriate. So I'll let Joe talk about that a little later. Both of Joe's work wives, Nancy Saylor, the former, and Cindy Conti, the present, agree on one thing with me. Just pretend like you're listening. That's all you have to do. I would say that's like most men, but Rich Garland, he's here. In town. Okay. Joe has often said, number 5, I keep forgetting the numbers. Joe has often said that he never plans to retire. It'll have to be carried out on board. Well, Joe, that's not a boat the staff's building outside. It looks strangely like a coffin. I'd be careful. From time to time, Joe would call me into his office to ask what I might do in a difficult situation. Something that might have to do with staff, or with a board member, or even a chamber member. Sometimes they drove him crazy. And he would say to me, "What do you think I should do?" And I would tell him exactly what I thought. And then he would totally disregard what I said. Damn nonprofit people, always trying to be fair and nice. Rubbish. So it sounds like I only have bad, miserable, ugly, unfortunate, wretched, dismal, woeful, gloomy things to say about Joe. Nothing could be farther from the truth. When you ignore everything else I've said, Joe's a pretty wonderful person. That wasn't supposed to be funny. In fact, you won't find a kinder, more compassionate, loving, friendly, and generous person. That is if he likes you. Just saying. Number 2, coming to the nice ones. Joe is truly a great person. He's someone you can count on and who will always be there to keep his word. He'll fight to the death to defend his friends and his family and makes the Stuart-Martin Chamber the best it can be. I'm proud to say that I consider him a friend and think he considers me one as well, at least until tonight. Finally, number 1, Joe. You have been the Chamber star for 25 years. Here's hoping that you will continue in that role for another 25 years. You are my hero. I love, 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 love you. Happy 25. Here's to 25 more.
Susie Hutchison. Hey, Tony. You seen Dave around?
Oh, you won't see Dave anymore, Tim. No, you won't be seeing Dave, no.
Okay.
Oh,
You don't want to know.
you don't want to know.
You don't want to.
I don't.
Yeah, Tony.
You know, the sauce is ready.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little hungry.
Yeah.
Maybe,
What else is new?
Maybe they're getting a little hungry.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sure. Sure.
Maybe the girls can help us out?
Sure.
Get a little treat. Get a little treat for everybody, so we'll, enjoy as the next person comes up.
And knowing what it is, you should all eat it because everybody else will, and they're going to think your breath smells anyway. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, you're welcome.
Keep stirring that sauce, eh?
This sauce, tells you. This is the best thing you ever had.
Good. And we ain't talking biscuits and gravy, are we?
Where's the roast start? I'm waiting for some roasting. Is this a roast?
Well,
Tony,
you think so?
I think we're going to be saying, hey, where's Elliot? I ain't going to see Elliot.
Then you gotta try.
Our next celebrity to honor Mr. Catrambone is Mark Foley.
Let's hear it for the Lyric Theater and its rehabilitation. Thank you for doing that. That's just a political trick I'm going to use because I'm going to jump in that applause after my name, and then he was warmly received back in his hometown of Mark. Could you by chance the sound booth bring up the picture of Frank Sinatra and the gang? If you can operate that, that would be helpful. And I'm really glad to be here, and I really didn't understand the dress code. Yeah, keep going back a little bit. Because it kind of shows Joe in his rare form. You know, he doesn't take instructions well. He's kind of an anxious guy to get the job done. And he always wants to be ahead of the curve and be ahead of everyone else. See, as I explained to Joe that morning, he called me, he says, Mark, I want to look younger for my board meeting. What should I do? And I said, comb Grecian formula through your hair. Well, obviously, if you look at his hands, he didn't use a comb. No, it's on the instructions. Wear gloves when you apply. I know you did. Yeah, some of the scenes I've seen on that tape, and I'm saying to myself, and I lost my job? You know, I've been kissing his derriere for so long now that I was told there was a costume tonight, so I decided to dress up as Mr. Carson from the Downton Abbey series.
I don't know what she does.
So I tell you, I was excited to come tonight. I've had a long friendship with Joe, and I immediately ran to the trophy store. I couldn't wait. I was so excited about coming tonight. And I said to the clerk, I said, I need a plaque, and I need it large, because the man's got to be. And on this plaque, I need longest serving executive of a chamber. And she said, sir, I'd love to do that for you, but that would be Carolyn Davy. You have a category for runner-up. No. It reminds me when I did her roast, actually, I was there. And I said to the group, I said, you know, I'm so proud of this community. Oftentimes in the congressional record, I'll speak about this wonderful place called Palm City. And so the House historian came down to me the next day and says, Congressman, seriously, I hate to tell you this, but there is no place called Palm City. I said, well, absolutely, I represent it. He said, no, we've gone to the Metropolitan Index, cities, all that information, and we cannot find Palm City as a municipality. I said, I know it is. It has to be. Their name's on the building. In fact, they have a Chamber of Commerce, Palm City Chamber of Commerce. And the historian says immediately to me, not according to Joe Catrambone. When I first ran for office, I kept hearing, we've got to go meet Joe Catrambone. Joe Catrambone? What kind of name is that? So I turned to Webster's. Catrambone. And I found out it was a large, important musical instrument that, blown on with force, will likely emit noise. So I came to his office and I was excited to meet him because they said, he's the guy that can get things done for you. He can really help. So I sat across that desk, you know, where his plaque stares at Joe Catrambone. Okay. I thought I understood that when I walked in, that was your name, but I'm going to look at it for the next 30 minutes. Joe Catrambone. So I said to Joe, I really need your help if I'm going to win this race. So, Senator, I got to tell you, you're my man. If Ken Pruitt doesn't run, and if Joe Negron takes a pass, and then again there's Sheriff Crowder, he could certainly be a contender, so if he's in, I'm going to have to reserve. Then of course there's Gail Harrell, and somebody we're really close here at the Chamber, this would really be the tipping point, and I simply would have to refuse you right now, and that is Maggie Herschel. And then I have to put that juxtaposed with Nat Reed. If he decides to run, those both would be critically hard for me to get over to endorse. So thankfully, none of them ran. So I win, and he comes up to me election and he said, Mark, I was with you from 11. But I didn't want to get back to those other people that I was supporting. But I will tell you, there is something else that's a commonality in this community. I have never heard names with more vowels in my life. Representing this place for 11 and a half plus years. I mean, now I'm getting it. I really am getting it. Dieter Lisi, Dorita, Armalini, Arletta, Lacanti. I mean, what are you doing to us? What are you doing to us, Joe? But seriously, when you witness a person up close and personal and you see their character, you really recognize that it does take somebody with conviction and compassion to run any organization, but especially one like the Chamber. But I actually got to see Joe in a very personal way after Bob Post died, how he and his wife surrounded Linda with love and friendship and support. That's the kind of human being that rallies not just for friends for the short period of time after the tragedy occurs, but every weekend making certain she could go out and be among friends, to know she was loved by this community, to know that you cared enough to be there by your side. Barb, you deserve that as well, because you both were enormous friends to Linda, who has been so good to me. And that's the kind of act of kindness and love that only comes from the heart. You can act it, you can play the part, you can play the role. Joe has always been a thought leader. He's been articulate about Martin County. He loves this place with a passion. And he was really always there for me. Well, except for a little period of time. It reminded me of a story. I'm driving my car, and it's June 2006. Some of you may remember the year. So I get a call from Andy Decker in my district. And Andy says, Mark, Joe is really mad. You've been seen frequently at that other chamber that's over on an island that doesn't even have a legitimate bridge. And you've been talking at your chamber breakfast fairly regularly. And you've not, he says, you've not even shown up to pay homage, pay respect. And so I said, oh God, I can't have him mad. So I immediately get on my cell phone. And Joe says, Mark, I know you're busy. I said, well, Joe, your lunches are like Wednesday noon. I'm always in Washington. He says, that's fine, no excuse. Leave Washington, come speak, and go back. I mean, what's the problem? So, of course, September 29th, I resigned, and I call him October 1st because I got some time on my hands. I said, Joe, can I come speak to the chamber? He says, Mark, you know, I'm booked till November 19, 2014, and even that night I don't have control over. I say that as a joke, because it's not true. He was one of the first to call, and that's again when you find your friends, both at the highest mountaintop and the lowest valley. And when friends are like that by your side, that's the human person you are. We love you, Joe Catrambone. God bless you. But I do laugh about the 25 years more. We'll be doing the